Hi, and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar, and I am going to redo one of my earlier electric blues instrumental lessons. This is Guitar Boogie by Chuck Berry, and Chuck Berry did this in the key of G, and I did a lesson on this a few years ago, but the lighting that I did was really bad. I had an old camera, and I taught several parts of this completely wrong. And having listened to this and studied it more and more and more, I think I've got it figured out. Not perfect, but I think I'm a lot closer than what I was. So I want to go through this, and it's in the key of G. A lot of the licks he's going to play are typical Chuck Berry licks, but he does a lot of really cool stuff that you don't hear in any other songs of his. And I'm going to show you the introduction, and then I'm going to show you kind of the basic rhythm part that he plays over and over again throughout the song, and then we'll go into each stop time and figure out what he's doing for each of those stop times, and then get the end tag and all that. So he starts out, I'll just play this kind of slowly to get going. That is the introduction. So to me it sounds like he's going from the 3rd to the 5th fret on the 1st, 2nd string, and then on the double stop on the 3rd fret, 1st and 2nd strings with the 1st finger. And there, I think he's doing a double stop too, with his pinky on the 6th fret of the 1st string, ring finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and a little bend up. Could be 1 string. I hear 2 strings. So that whole first part, and then he does it again. And then right there, he's going to do this. And he's just doing this pull-off thing from the 6th to the 5th to the 3rd on the 1st string. Same thing on the 2nd string. Same thing on the 3rd string. And he winds up, it sounds to me like on the 5th fret of the 4th string. So that part, and that is where he kicks into the rhythm part. So let's play that introduction, the intro to Guitar Boogie, nice and slow. And then he goes into this rhythm part. That's what I hear. There may be a second guitar on here playing something different, but when I play this by myself with a band, that's how I do it, and that's what I hear at least one of the guitars doing. And so the rhythm part, he's making these 9th chord shapes, and it almost sounds like he's just getting the bottom 3 strings, but I hear a little bit of the 2nd string. So he's not getting the 1st string. You don't hear that. You hear more of a muted. He's just going from C9, B9, C9. And then he's going to the 1, so that's over the 4. Remember the song's in G, so our G is our 1, our C is our 4, so that's over the 4. If you're playing rhythm guitar on this, I'll show you a simple idea. The guy that I used to play this with I showed him this part. Then he goes over the 1, so he's just taking the G 9th chord way up here at the 10th fret with the 1st finger on the 9th fret of the 4th string. Whoops. So it's 1, bum, da da, da 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 da, and then to the 5, which is a D 9th, C, and then he's going to do this. And I hear sort of a muffled G 7th chord, or even just a power G chord. You could get that 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, play a little more of it, or you can just play the low end. And this is a typical power chord position. I've got my 1st finger, this is G. 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th and the 6th strings, getting also, it's barring there, mostly the 5th and 6th strings. And then I've got my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string. Here's that. But you can add a little more to it. And then he just goes C 7th, that's a C 7th shape, your 1st position. C 7th, you make a C chord, throw the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. So he's doing this. And he winds winds up on a D7, exact same shape, just moved up here with the ring finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string. So let's go through the introduction and that first verse. Now he's going to play this over and over again. So I'm going to teach this once, and then we're going to go into the other stuff. Now as far as the rhythm guitar, he does the opening, and then the song really kicks in on the 4, which would be a C. And you could have a rhythm guy just playing. Be a cool rhythm track. In fact, I want to record this song and play all the guitar parts on it. That's what I would do. So this part is how he wraps up the verse. So let's do it all the way through. Is the opening and first verse of Guitar Boogie. Now from this point on, we're just going to go through the stop times, and I'll kind of quickly play that part and show you what he's doing, but we'll work on the stop times. First time through on the rhythm part, he goes into the first stop time, and he does something like this. And then into the rhythm part. So it sounds to me like he's doing. Just a classic Chuck Berry type riff. That is the first and second strings of the 3rd fret with my 1st finger. And then 5th fret, 2nd and 3rd string. And then this I'm hammering on. I've got my 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd and 3rd string. And I'm hammering on with my 2nd finger to the 4th fret of the 3rd string, but I'm also getting the 2nd string. It's a double stop. So it's like this. Does it again. Excuse me. Then he does. And I think he's doing this. Maybe coming down on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. He does it real fast. And then does that again. So the whole first part. And then that, he's doing 4 bends, double stop bends. I've got my 1st finger anchored on the 5th, 3rd fret, 2nd and 3rd strings. Then I'm using mostly my ring finger, but I've got my 2nd finger in there to help. And I'm bending up on the 2nd and the 3rd string. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then into the rhythm. Like that. So let's go through that slowly. Let me play that one more time slowly. To the 4. So that is the first stop time verse of Guitar Boogie by Chuck Berry. And this I'm still not sure I'm playing exactly right, but I think I'm closer than what I was last time I taught it. And he gets to a stop time and he does this. And then, I mean, that is a bear. So it sounds to me like he's sliding into a double stop like this with my 1st finger on the 10th fret of the 1st string and my 2nd finger on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. That's a G. So over that I can make a 2nd position G bar chord, but I just want the bottom or top 2 strings. And he's sliding. So from the 9th and 10th, 11th frets to the 10th and 12th, but then he's going, so he's sliding in. Then he picks it again and slides down 2 frets. So I've got my 1st finger on the 8th fret of the 1st string and my ring finger on the 10th fret. And then he's going to pick that. And very quickly, slide down and move his finger, so I've got my first finger on the 7th fret of the 1st string, my second finger on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. So, and then he's going to take that down 2 more. So the whole thing. And then he's going to go here, which is a C, double stop. And that's the same position we used up here, or down here, up here. Then we're going to move that down 2. And then I don't know exactly how he did this. Never seen any video of him or anyone else doing it. Sounds like he's sliding maybe the ring finger from the 3rd fret to the 1st fret on the 2nd string, and then pulling off like that. So the whole thing. That's what I hear when I listen to it. Play it slowly. And then the second time, he does something similar, but not the same thing. That's all the same. Now he's going to go back from the 5th and 6th frets of the 1st and 2nd string to the 7th and 8th. So one more time. And then he's going to walk one fret. Like that. So the whole thing. And then wind up on that C double stop. First finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, ring finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So the whole, let's do the whole second part. And then into the stop. Like that. So let's do the whole thing slowly from the previous stop time. I didn't play it very slowly, did I? Let me try it slowly, sorry. Whoops. Start over. This is from the turnaround, rather. It's hard to play that slowly because I'm so used to trying to play it fast enough. But that is one of the tougher ones to play. I'm still not fantastic at it, but at least I know what to play now. So that's that. Let's move on to the next verse. Difficult of the entire song. And the hardest part is to get the timing. And honestly, I don't have a backup track or anything, so I'm going to try to show you this by the licks, and you have to listen to the original song to get the timing. He gets to the next stop time. And he goes into this. That's pretty hard. Breaking it down, you listen to the recording very carefully. I can't tell if he's doing downstrokes, upstrokes, or just downstrokes. It's actually kind of easier to play that way. And what I'm doing is sliding this double stop. Got my, for this, I think it's easier to use your second finger and your ring finger. And I'm sliding, I've got my second finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and my ring finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. And I'm sliding it up or down, up 2 or up 1, so that my second finger is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string and my ring finger is on the 7th fret. Now when I do this, I'm sliding in and then getting an upstroke. And I think that's what he's playing. So it's just playing it fast. And to me, I think that's it. I think I stumbled on it. I didn't mean it. And he does that again. He does this like shortened, like triplets. And he's doing a 1, 2, 3. But he's He's just playing it fast. So the whole thing. Before he goes into the slide. So this lick, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then he's doing that kind of staccato picking on the second and third strings. He's going to slide from this position, which is a G7, to a C, 7th. So he's going to slide all the way up here to the 11th and 12th frets on the second and third string. Whoops. And then from there, he's doing this. So I'm sliding on that double stop, keeping the same position, and then 10th fret, second and third strings, and then the C version of that double stop. 8th fret, second string, 9th fret of the third string. And you can decide which fingers you're going to use. I don't play this often enough to have decided on any favorites. So let's do that whole first part kind of slowly. Right there. So he just 1, 2, 3. And he does the same thing with the over the G. And then he starts on the D. And this time he's just going from the D double stop, first finger on the 10th fret of the second string, second finger on the 11th fret of the third string, and flattening out the ring finger on the 12th fret. So, and then he's going to do that slide into the 7th. And here he's doing this. Stays on that G double stop. And that is the end of that verse. So let's try to play that one really slowly. Again, the timing is the tough part. You got to have a drummer, you know, keeping that beat, and you know, on the time. So I can't time it. I got to have someone else playing that part, and I can play along with them. So here we go. For the stop, or the next verse. Chuck Berry's Guitar Boogie is the famous "Mary Had a Little Lamb" phrase, and he does this. Let's take it from the turnaround. And then into the stop, or the 4. And so on. This is really cool, and I played this wrong. First time I taught this, I didn't listen carefully enough, and I think I've got it now. So he's starting here with a G double stop. We've used this position before. First finger, 10th fret, first string, ring finger, 12th fret. Gonna move that down to that shape, which we used before when we did this. We're doing the same basic shapes. So the first part, we're using those 3 different double stop positions. One more time. And then we're adding this one. First finger on the 12th fret of the first string, second finger on the 13th fret of the second string. Back to that, and then twice here. And that is an F double stop. My first finger is on the 8th fret of the first string, ring finger on the 10th fret of the second string. And then when I end up, I get that position again, 7th, 8th frets, and then I kind of smear it down. Like that. So the whole thing plays slowly. Goes back to another cool one. Here's the next verse of Chuck Berry's Guitar Boogie. This is one that when I taught the first time, I played it completely wrong. I thought it was something like this. That's kind of hard to play. And then when I did this, I just played that, which is not even what he's playing. And a lot of the times you hear something and you think, oh, that's what he's playing, but you really got to listen to it. So I've gone back, and then the light just came on, and instead of doing that, he's going here. So he starts out with that power chord, 5th and 6th string, G. And then he's coming up here to the 6th and 7th frets, 5th on the 6th string, 5th fret of the 5th string, and then 7th fret, 5th string, and winding up on the 5th fret of the 4th string. So the whole thing, and I'm alternating my picking. You can make a song out of that riff, which is really cool. So he does this. And then he's going to do this. And I listened to that over and over again, and I couldn't hear the notes. And then one day it just kind of came to me. I'm pretty sure I got it. He's starting on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and then walking from the 8th to the 7th to the 5th on the 5th string, and then 6, 7 on the 6th string, 3rd fret of the 6th string, and then open E. Sounds kind of weird, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. So the whole thing, and then he goes into the C. So let's do that whole riff. Play it slowly. Now I did something wrong there. I just caught it when I played it that time. He plays this. Whoop. Plays that twice when he gets ready for the last part. 7th fret of the 5th string. And he plays that once. So listen and see if you can hear the difference. One more time through. And then into the 4. And so on. That is one of my favorite guitar licks of all time. This song has a bunch of them. The next one might be the the coolest. One of the coolest. They're all cool. Alright, got 2 more verses left to go. And we'll be back with the next one in a minute. Chuck Berry's Guitar Boogie is this little chord thing he does. Let me just play it for you one time. And this I've been struggling with for years. It's one of those things. It's not as hard as I thought it was, but I just couldn't hear it. And it sounds to me like he's starting out with a 2nd position bar chord G. So it's like this. He does a little thing. So he's going from a G to an F. And he does. So that part's pretty simple. And then here, he's going to get the G again, but then he's going to do this slide. So he's hitting the G, or what would be an A ninth. He's in the G. It's kind of a 9th shape. That's, again, I'm not sure how to explain this, so it's like this. So he hits that, and then right away slides to an E flat 9th, and then winds up at the C 9th. And it sounds to me like he's going E flat 9th, D 9th, D flat 9th, C 9th, same shape, that 9th chord shape. And he's doing it like this. Listen to the recording yourself and see if I'm not wrong on that. So played slowly. Whoops. 4 part, the 9th chord, the C 9th part. Pretty awesome. That's really cool stuff. And Chuck Berry, every now and then, I'll just pull out some lick and you'll only hear it in one of his songs and you'll wonder what the heck's he doing. It's pretty sophisticated. But it's actually a simple idea, but it's just very creative. So one more time. That's what I think he's playing. Whoops. So it's like that. Played it better there. And that is the next verse. And now we're ready for the final verse. Boogie, let's take it from the turnaround. And there, again, I'm not sure what's going on there. If you're playing it by yourself, you kind of got to play it like I did. If you got a second guitar player, you just kind of lay out on that and then play the end tag, which is a lot easier. It's kind of hard to go to that quickly. But here's what he's doing. So he starts out. It sounds to me, I may be wrong on this. This is one that I need to listen to again, but I'll come back and do this part again if I'm wrong. It sounds like he's just got the G power chord thing, 5th and 6th strings. I don't know if he's doing all downstrokes or what. Sounds to me like he's doing a little of both. He's going from a G to a B flat, so the first finger is going to be on the 5th and 6th strings at the 6th fret, and the ring finger is going to be on the 5th string at the 8th fret. So he's just moving it. And then he's going to move it to a C, to an E flat, which is at the 11th frets to the 13th fret. So let's do that one more time. Then back to the 1. Is just a typical Chuck Berry rhythm thing. I should have explained this the first time I showed it. He's got this power chord position, first finger on the 5th and 6th strings at the 3rd fret, ring finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string, then I'm bringing the pinky on the 7th fret of the 5th string. Play a C over the C. At the end of the song, sounds like he's sliding, something like that, and then, whoops, one more time. Just that same slide that we used in the second verse, but we're going to stop at the C, and then the G9. Just kind of plays that chord at the end. So let's do that whole last verse slowly. This is probably the simplest, except for going to that double stop. Again, if you've got a second guitar player, you can just wait and then play that. If you're playing on your own, you got to play that rhythm part and then quickly go into the double stops, which is a little trickier. So let's do it. That's hard. I haven't done that for a while, but that's what he's playing, I'm pretty sure. So there is a redo of Chuck Berry's Guitar Boogie, one of my all-time favorite guitar instrumentals. A little rock and rolly, but what the heck. Chuck Berry has so many licks that are blues influenced that I like to include his stuff every now and then. And that is one of the great instrumentals, and there's so many cool ideas that you could slow down and use in blues tunes as well. Hope this was helpful. I'm going to redo the tab, so it might be a while before I put the tab up because I figured out a couple of these things after I already had done one version of the tab. I want to fix those and get it right. Listen to the original recording. If you hear anything differently, let me know. I've been trying to figure this out for years. And I just kind of work on it and then forget about it, come back to it a couple of years later, try to figure it out. And then each time I tend to hear something I didn't hear before, which just shows you how cool the song is. That is another electric blues guitar instrumental redone. I've still got about 5 or 6 more to redo. Better camera, better teaching, and I hope this is more helpful than what I did before. See you soon.